Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, so good evening, good afternoon. I know some people will be joining in from India, UK, or UAE. So here we go. Today is Saturday, 24th of October, and we are on the 27th webinar with the Networking and Learning Group. The topic for today is 5 habits to boost your businesses. So 5 habits, huh? We are looking at 5 habits. I'm waiting for it, Amanda. Let's see. Okay, so thank you for registering with us and joining on this webinar at this hour of time. You're spending your time on the weekend, so we'll have definitely so much to take away from this session. The founders of NLG are Jason and myself. Jason is an internal auditor and content creator. You see him with videos and so many posts on LinkedIn, Facebook. He has a 5S certification as well. He works with the government entity in Sharjah. And I'm an HR generalist. I have honors diploma in computer science. I work in UAE, in Dubai, in fact, in a free zone sector called DIFC. We had created this group last year, and with an intent to learn, share, and discuss the experiences, the knowledge we have with each other, so that the community at large can benefit from it. We have our admins, our pillars of NLG, which is Takyuddin, who is a QHSC professional. He's also in this session right now. He's an MBA in HR and MSc in biotechnology. So he has double masters, huh, Taki? Good. Anil. Anil is also an HR professional. He also has MBA and MHRM. He's a coach and a mentor. So the team is very helpful in holding these sessions. We have so many things going backhand. Okay, so why is Networking and Learning Group? We have different speakers coming in at this platform every Saturday at 4 p.m. UAE time to share their knowledge and experience with us, which is absolutely amazing. You get so much to learn, so much insights, the wonderful webinars being held up here. So please share it with your family and friends. Everyone can join in and take maximum out of these webinars. You can connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or through WhatsApp. We'll be sharing these links in the chat box as well, so that you can join our groups and forward it to your family and friends as well. Now, since the moral of this group is to share and learn, I would request any of you, if you would like to come and talk about anything, any part of your life or any expertise which you want to share with us, please do let us know. We will soon be hosting you as well on this amazing platform. So, certain rules to follow. We'll be muting you all so that participants as well as the speaker is not being disturbed. You may use the chat box for your questions, your comments. You can use the reaction buttons for the Zoom available. And you can also post your questions, though the speaker will be taking the session first. And then at the end, the session will be open for the Q&A. You may also take the notes or the screenshots as you like. I'm always ready with my diary and the pens so that I can take down the notes and maximize it as much as I can. So thank you for being with us here. And who is the speaker? So today's speaker is Amanda. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you for accepting us. And we are hosting you today with a wonderful topic called 5 Habits for Our Business. She is an inner calm coach and mentor. She is a multi-award winning business owner. She helps businesses to thrive, actually. not just to grow, but to thrive. How to thrive? How don't we get tired and still reach at the best? He specializes in mindset coaching, crisis management, change management, analysis and problem solving, budget controlling, so many things. I was like reading her profile and I'm like, oh my God, we have an amazing person sharing her views and learnings with us today. That's so good. She's also an LLB. So I'm sure that is an additional advantage. Okay. So over to you, Amanda. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Sushma. Thanks for that introduction. So, so I am an inner calm coach. I work typically with high achieving businesswomen, and using a combination of my coaching skills, mindset strategies, and some spiritual practices as well, I help clients navigate a more peaceful route to success. A bit about my story and the reason that I've taken this decision to specialise or niche into this part of the business world is because a few years ago I was in a very difficult situation. I was running my own business. I had 20 employees. I had a very busy business, and I was basically running myself ragged, is a phrase we use quite a lot, which you may be familiar with, which is that I was doing everything and trying to do everything and being all things to all men, and it led me to a very stressful place, and I got to the point where I almost was burnt out. And so fortunately, being sort of self-aware enough to know that I couldn't carry on in that sort of trajectory, I took the decision to make some quite radical changes, and I tried to sort of use different ways of working and explored different mindset strategies, different ways of being a good boss, if you like, or trying to sort of become a better boss to the people that who were working for me. And it was that experimentation that led me here, really, because I found that I loved coaching people. I loved bringing my employees on, and I found that my one secret, if I'm going to be really truly honest, to success was compassion. I found that by being compassionate to myself and to the people who worked with me, it reaped so many rewards. And, you know, some of the things that I'm going to share with you today are habits that I adopted. And I would hope that, you know, you might get something from this in terms of your own lives. The presentation is meant really for, or was written for, business owners, but it can definitely be translated into your life as well as your business world. And you can, where I say maybe refer to employees, you can definitely transfer that across to be co-workers or managers or whatever you want. It's the strategies are very, they can be translated across all platforms basically. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and we can get sort of started. So hopefully you can all see that. There we go. So 5 habits to boost your business. And basically I wanted to do it this way for you so that you could really just note down what would work for you in your world. And so that's why I've given you 5. And if it's only just one habit that you take away that you think, oh yes, I can definitely use that, then my work is done. So the very first one I wanted to start with, which is really quite an important one, is to adopt a growth mindset. And, you know, most of you probably are familiar with the whole terminology of mindset. Your mindset is effectively your habitual or characteristic mental attitude, which determines really how you respond psychologically to things. The whole concept of a growth mindset was pioneered by a doctor called Carol Dweck, and she pitched this theory of a mindset which is a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. And she looked at the perspective that you had if you had each of these thoughts and ways of thinking. The theory is that a fixed mindset, they believe that your intelligence and talents are innate and fixed, whereas those in a growth mindset believe that such traits can be influenced by learning, by effort, training, and practice. And I think the easiest way for me to define it for you is to say that if you're in a fixed mindset, you're likely to be thinking on a regular basis, I can't do that. And then because whatever, you've got in your belief system. If you flip that to a growth mindset, you're more likely to be thinking, I can't yet. So there is that notion that you can't do it at the moment, but you will be able to in the future with effort, with learning, with practice. And so that's the easiest way to distinguish it. I can't versus I can't yet. And in business, it's sometimes necessary to learn new skills and to adapt to a changing environment. And boy, do we know that right now. It's sometimes important as well to pursue a different way of learning and a different way of working. And I learned that the hard way. Having a growth mindset will help you in all aspects of this endeavour. So to view learning new things as interesting is a really good way to do that. To be sort of a lifelong learner, trying to sort of pursue new interests is a good way to keep that mindset in a growth pattern. And also to accept that you're going to make mistakes along the way, and not worry about that and have that prevent you trying to grow. And maintaining a growth mindset will also help you be persistent and keep going and build your resilience. And I think that's really vital, not only in business, but in life as well. With a growth mindset, your outlook is more positive as well. And I think that's really crucial in life, to have that positive outlook. There's a lot of research shows that optimism is a very important belief system to have, and it can have all sorts of health benefits. And I'll go into that in more detail a bit later. But you're definitely more amenable to change if you've got a positive outlook. You're more adaptable, and that means that you can stay ahead of the curve. So I've just got this slide here, which I shared a few months ago online, and it just gives you an idea of what's a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So it's this idea that you can always improve if you're in a growth mindset, and hard work is great. Although we all maybe moan about it at times when things are hard, it's about the way you view that challenge and whether it does make you want to think differently. You'll learn new things, because they're interesting, and even if you make mistakes along the way, you value that learning process. And if it is hard, it makes you want to spend more time on it, not less. If you're anything like me, I don't like not being able to solve puzzles, so I'll stick with it until I really get to the grips with it, because it really does frustrate me if I can't find the answer. And yes, sometimes I do give up because it gets a bit too hard, but it's that persistence, that I want to understand this, and it's that questioning sort of mindset. And my parents used to get very frustrated with me as a child, because I was the child that was always going, but why? So it's trying to understand things and learn and enjoying that sort of learning process. And as opposed to a fixed mindset where you might think it's pointless to learn because it's just beyond you, and why bother? And I think one of the things that I would like to point out here as well, which is something which I learned when I was reading Carol Dweck's book, which is called Mindset, is when you're parenting, we often get into this process of praising our children when they do well. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we must focus on the effort that they've made as much as the talent that's brought them to that point where we're praising them. So it's a real good balance of praising them because they've done well, but also because of the effort behind it. I think when you're in a fixed mindset, you're used to that praise, and you realise that you won't get it unless you perform to the best of your ability, but that doesn't necessarily encourage you to make more effort. So it's a good thing to keep in mind, and it's something which, from a parenting perspective is good to know. And so this is a quote that I love. It's, the mind is just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. So it's important about always pushing yourself forward to sort of grow and challenge yourself and you know, rewire your brain if you know, if that's what you need to do to make it stronger. So the next habit that I would definitely encourage, and this is one I'm very, very passionate about, because gratitude is life-changing. And I think it's one of those things that you hear a lot of people talking about, and it's something that, you know, most of us do. I think we all are grateful for our circumstances. But I think when I talk about expressing gratitude, it's also about expressing gratitude when the chips are down, when things aren't going so well. And it's almost a process of stopping yourself in the moment when you head into that, oh, why is this happening to me sort of mode. Gratitude is a very good way that you can bring yourself out of that, that mindset, if you like. It's the quality of being thankful is essentially what gratitude is. And it can be a dispositional trait. It can be innate in you. You can be that natural person that always finds the reason to be grateful. Or it might be something that you have to learn and grow, and just hone and just try doing it more and more to make it more sort of what you do on a regular basis. Cultivating it as a habit is extremely beneficial, and if there's one habit that I would sell to you, it would be this one, because it's an easy one to do, but it's also something that can bring such reward to you. It creates positivity, which is something that I'll be saying through every habit, I'm sure, but this positivity reaches both outward and inward. So if you're expressing gratitude to someone, the actual beneficial effect isn't just to that person, it's to you as well. And there's biological and psychological reasons behind that. Gratitude is also infectious, I think. And this is something that I found out when I decided months and months ago, probably years ago actually now, decided to thank everybody in shops. When somebody was, when I was paying for something, I would always say thank you, but I decided that I was going to go and extend that thanks and say thank you, have a really great day. And it was more than a sort of the American way of going, have a nice day. It was much more meaningful than that. To me, I was really almost giving them a blessing and saying, you know, I want you to have a really great day. And what was really noticeable, this was within weeks of me trying this practice or starting this practice, was the amount of people who were saying it to me before I got the words out. So it was almost like, and it is a mirroring effect, which many of you will be familiar with, that we do mirror other people's behaviours. But what I thought was outstanding was the fact that they'd mirrored it before I'd even said it. So it was almost like there was an energetic exchange between us. So I think the infection I'm talking about, the way gratitude can be infectious, is something I would really definitely ask you to try, because it's quite incredible how much that thanks will come back to you in spades. Expressing gratitude can also limit the use of negative language, and it curtails things like envy and bitterness and resentment. It's amazing how you can cut somebody off feeling that way towards you if you express thanks. Even if somebody's challenging your opinion, you know, to say thank you, I respect your opinion. You don't necessarily have to agree with that opinion, but actually just say you thank them for their opinion. It gives them sort of the worth of them saying, it's not like you're engaging in a battle with them, but it's just showing that you respect what they're saying, even though you don't agree with them. So one of the things I do is I try and find reasons to be grateful every day. And one of the ways I do this, I start with my basic needs and see how they've been met in the day. And it can be simple things like, you know, carpet on the bedroom floor. It can be the water in the tap, hot water in the shower, electricity. And I'm of an age where Wi-Fi didn't exist when I was a child. So when the Wi-Fi goes down, I have to sort of thank myself, thank that we've got it. And during the pandemic, I was very grateful for Wi-Fi, because how much more difficult would it have been? I mean, this sort of thing would not be possible. So it's about remembering that. So when things go wrong, it's about turning it around and being grateful the fact that you've got it in the first place. The one example I would give is my sister. She was moaning a few months ago about the fact that both her washing machine and her dishwasher had broken down in the same week. And I said to her, Helen, I said, you've got a washing machine and a dishwasher. That's something to be really grateful for. I'm not sure she was that keen on the advice at the time, but, you know, I meant it with goodwill, but that's the thing. It's just trying to sort of turn things around in your mind. One of the things I would also encourage is, and I learned this from a book I read called Creating Money, and that is about blessing the money that you get in and that you pay out. And this was a strategy I used in my business a lot, because I was finding that I was building up a little bit of a resentment to paying bills, both in my personal life and in my business life. And I read this concept that you should bless the money as it goes out and express gratitude that you're being able to pay somebody else. And that money then has a ripple effect, because it not only pays that bill and pays for the whatever product or service you've bought, but it also helps to feed a family or pay for their, you know, day out. There's so many ways that money can then filter out and help other people. And it's seeing that flow of money and how it circulates. And so blessing money as you pay out rather than resenting it is a really good strategy to express gratitude in a different way. And as my mom used to always tell me, there's always, always, always something to be grateful for. Now, my mom didn't have, you know, the easiest of lives. And I think, without going into too much detail, she had a lot of tragedy that she had to deal with in her life. So from her to say that to me, I think that's just very valuable. And it was really solidified, I suppose, in my brain that that's a very important kind of mantra to have, if you like. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about biology, and I realise there's probably some people who are experts in the room, so please forgive me if this becomes like a simpleton's version of it. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was the chemical reaction that happens when you're grateful. And expressing gratitude has been found to be a really important for the release of serotonin in the brain and in your body system. Serotonin is like it's the natural mood regulator. So it's important for things like regulating your appetite, sleep, your memory and learning, and very important in feeling happy too. So if your serotonin is low, it's linked to things like anxiety and depression. And that's something I can really identify with, because in the early days of my business, anxiety was a big thing for me. And so actually expressing gratitude is one way. It's not the only way, but it's one way to boost your serotonin levels. You can also boost serotonin from things like sunlight, and sleep is also a good way to boost serotonin levels. But it's an easy way, I'd say, to keep the serotonin levels going. So if you're thinking about trying to feel happy, gratitude is a really good way to do that. And another good quote that I love, it's only with gratitude that life becomes rich. And I think that's a good way to look at it, that if you are feeling, poor in some respect in your life, turn the lens round onto something that is actually good in your life and just be very grateful for that instead. And you'll see then that, the other aspects of your life will start to flourish. And that sounds a bit sort of, whimsical. I'm sorry, but it's just something that I'm very, very sort of strong believer in. So I would just definitely encourage you to just at least try it. This is another habit that I would definitely encourage you to do if you're not doing it already, and that is to set your intentions. Dr. Wayne Dyer, some of you might be familiar with his name. He is the author of The Power of Intention, amongst other publications, and he defined intention as the force in the universe that allows the act of creation to take place. And whether you accept that definition or not, you do definitely increase the likelihood of something being done when you've set an intention in the first place to do that thing. So it is a very positive action that you can take. Now, intentions are different from goals, and I think a lot of people struggle, I did, with this distinction. So the one thing that I would say is that intentions are the actions or the thoughts that you have about what you're going to do. whereas the goals are the results of what you do. And so a nice definition that I use, I've stolen it from somewhere, I can't remember to quote who it was, but intentions are the seeds and goals are the flowers. And I think that's a really nice way to remember it, you know, that the seeds are the intentions, that's what you're sowing, and then you reap what you sow with the goals that you arrive at. So these are my guidelines for setting intentions. So I would always say, do set your intentions when you're relaxed and calm. So I always find the morning the best for intentions, and they can be very, very light intentions, or they can be very, very intense. You can make it something you really want to achieve. But I think it's about being in the right frame of mind when you set them, so that everything's set up for the day, if you like. I would always make them positive, and keep them simple as well. So for me, one of my most favourite intentions is, today I'm going to see the best in everybody. And I think that's it's quite nice, because it takes the onus off me in a way, because I'm hoping that everyone else is good, but it puts the onus back on me, because I could see the good or I could see the bad. So my intention is I want to see the best in everybody. I want to see the goodness. And the nice thing about if you set an intention in the morning as well is that if you are very strong and clear on that intention, if you find yourself going back on it, so for instance, I saw somebody that day and I didn't see the best in them, I saw something I didn't like, I can really kind of correct myself and say, right, no, I'm not going to see that, I want to see the good. And you remind yourself throughout the day of that intention that you set. And I always think that's quite a very powerful thing that happens. I would also, with your intentions, don't be limited. I would be open to the possibilities. So, for instance, I could say I want to see the best in everybody, or I could say, I want to see the absolute fabulousness of everybody. So you can actually make it a bigger intention, or I want to be the best person I can possibly be today. Just be open to all the possibilities that you might have when you're setting those intentions. And this is the final one, detached from the outcome. This can be quite tricky, especially if your intention is around, say, for instance, you want to lose weight, or you want to do more exercise or something. You might be inclined to beat yourself up if you don't keep to the intention. But I think one of the things I would say is, if your intention is pure and honest and positive, then if you do go awry, then just try and detach from that and just start again the next day. Just keep that flow of intention, and you'll have really, really good days. There'll be days that it might not go so well, but just having that intention will keep you on track. And also, I just wanted to say that when I started my business in 2007, in 2008, I set an intention, which was quite a big one, which was to be the best service provider in my local district, if you like. I ran a cleaning company, and I wanted to be the best cleaning company provider in the area. And in 2009, when we were doing our review for 2008, I'd grown my business 115%. And so the growth was phenomenal. And so if that doesn't convince you that intentions work, then I don't know what will. But that is just a good example for how intentions for me really, really sort of helped me in my business. And this one's, everybody's probably heard this one. Energy flows where intention goes. So if you've got an intention, your energy is going to be sort of forging into that that belief, or that sort of intention that you want to achieve. Okay, hope you're all with me so far. I'm not going to get you up to get an exercise, although maybe we should. I don't know. I don't think we've got, maybe some people haven't got the room, but I won't force you to do anything now. But I thought it might be quite fun if we all just got and did star jumps, but never mind. During the working day, if weather permits and circumstances allow, I think it's important that you try and get outdoors for at least 30 minutes every day. And if that can be in the middle of the day, then that's perfect. But, I know sometimes heat and weather prevents that, but it's important that you do something every day as a way to engage your body. one of the things in coaching we do is if we find the session is stagnating, so it's getting a bit sort of and everybody's feeling a bit flat, the best way is to get up and do something, sort of, I'm not saying star jumps, but just shake the body down and, just get rid of any tension and just get into your body and how your body's feeling. And it's really powerful. And I think it's a good way if you feel yourself, we call it getting into a bit of a funk where things are flat and you just don't understand why you're feeling so sort of sluggish. Exercise can be the best way to sort of get rid of that. So combination of fresh air and exercise is just so powerful on the brain and very just extremely beneficial. And I find walking to be one of the best forms of exercise. I walk every day. I've got a dog, so we walk about 60 minutes every day, and more on the weekends. But I think because it's sort of low impact, and you can be quite mindful in your walking, you can observe nature and all those sort of things that are good for the brain as well. But also the pace of walking. And the one thing that I realized quite early on is that the pace of walking, it kind of mimics meditation. It's that rhythm that you get into, and it can really help you process your thoughts. And I think that's a really powerful thing, especially if you're having a stressful time. And I've made no secret of the fact that actually walking saved my sanity in business. The point where I got a dog, it was because I wanted to divert my attention off my business into something else. And so I made my focus in the first thing in the morning taking my dog for a walk rather than attending to my business. And I was in this really bad habit of getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning and going straight into the office. So it diverted me, but it also gave me all the pleasures of being outdoors and nature and all the things I've just spoken about. So exercise helps with things like brain health and memory. It helps with weight loss and maintenance of weight as well. It's also been shown to be very good for chronic pain. And I mean, years ago, chronic pain was treated with inactivity. And I still remember, if you had a back injury, you were advised to, lie down, go to bed. Whereas now they say the complete opposite. They say, go out, walk, make sure that you're using your muscles and keeping those maintained. It's good for muscles, it's good for bones, and it increases your energy levels. And the one thing I would say is if you start an exercise program, it's very easy to get put off because initially you're really tired. And I mean, I know that when I start a different exercise program, it can get you just, I can't keep doing this. This is, ridiculous. But you do get through that. And interesting, the brain has the same process. So if you start learning something new, you'll notice you get tired quicker. And it's because you're creating different neural pathways in your brain. So you're stretching yourself. And in the same way with exercise, you'll find that after a while, everything will start to feel okay because you've stretched yourself, the muscles have grown, they've strengthened, and you can actually keep going. I love this the most. Exercise is really good for a good night's sleep. And if anybody is like me and really likes to sleep, it's really powerful in sending you off to sleep really quickly, which is great. And sleep obviously is very good for cognitive function as well. So if you want to be a better person and be sharper, then sleep is obviously really crucial for that. One thing I've learned recently, which I hadn't realized when I was running my first business, was that exercise is a really good antidote to cortisol levels. Now, cortisol is the stress hormone that is released in the body when you need to, when there's a fight or flight sort of situation. So if there's something that's urgent that you need to attend to and you feel stressed, and cortisol will be coursing around your body. And that's great for that time that you need that boost of strategy or whatever it is you need to get yourself out of that urgent situation. But cortisol isn't meant to stay in your body. And one of the best ways to sort of get it out of your body quickly is exercise. And one of the things that I would say is it's really powerful in that respect, because you don't want to be in a situation where your body's holding on to a hormone or any chemical that shouldn't be there. should only be there for a temporary period. So definitely it's a good way. If you're feeling stressed, quick fix, go for a walk or go for a run or whatever works for you. But it's a very, very, very sort of a good strategy to have. It's known that many people who regularly exercise, they reduce the risk of developing chronic illnesses and chronic conditions. So, you know, that's a really good reason as well. Again, it boosts our serotonin levels, and it's, you know, it's very well known now that it's good for our mental health because it produces things like endorphins, dopamine, and those are all very sort of mood boosting hormones. And all of these hormones are known to build our self-esteem as well, which is crucial and vital for a good life, you know, to be sort of confident in your own ability. It's just very, very good. And it can counter the effects of depression. And I know from being in a position where I was suffering with anxiety that depression was only one step away. So there is, you know, you almost have to find a way to get out of that. And I know from, you know, having dealt with people with depression, it's quite difficult sometimes because you have to get to that point of motivation, and that can be very crucial, very vital. So this is just a slide about how it, you know, how regularly you should exercise, and it's saying here that 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise a week as a minimum, or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity, or a combination of both. And, you know, spread it out through the week, especially if it's vigorous exercise, because your body does need to rest in between. But there again, it says aim for at least, you know, 30 minutes per day to keep your body sort of functioning well. And here, when it comes to health and well-being, regular exercise is about as close to a magic potion as you can get. I love that because I just think it is almost like it is made, you know, this magic wand over you when you're exercising, which is great. My last one, and by no means the least one, I think in life you've got to have some fun, and everybody's smiling, which is great because I think that's, you know, you have to do something fun every day. And one of the things I always encourage my clients to do is belly laugh every single day. And I think you need to involve people in the fun that you have. And you can, you know, lead by example. You be the cheerleader for fun in your workplace or in your business, whatever it might be. Just cultivate that fun environment if you can. Make those who work with you or for you, make them look forward to coming to work, to seeing you. Be a nice person to be around. And I think the easiest way, and, you know, the quality that most people say they look for in other people is a sense of humour. Apparently women find this far more attractive, for all the men out there that are listening, than any other quality, to have a sense of humour and a sense of fun. We all like to laugh, and that's the truth. And you know, it's encouraging that within, you know, the people that you meet and mix with is really, really important. And try and discourage the opposite of that, because you'll always have a fun sponge, somebody who doesn't want to play, somebody who wants to sort of bring everybody down, and that, just trying to discourage that, you know, conversation if you can. So in the workplace, I would say celebrate all the happy occasions. You know, somebody's having a baby or somebody's having a birthday or an anniversary, just buy into it, you know, 100%. Reward greatness as well. If somebody's done something good, it doesn't have to be great, it could be just something that's good for them, and celebrate your achievements. And I always have this thing that we always have a bottle of something fizzy in the fridge. It could be lemonade, but it's something to celebrate with, if you get my meaning. So it's always nice to know that there's something, you know, something coming up you can celebrate. And I think it's important as well, if somebody's made an outstanding contribution somehow, you know, maybe they've brightened your day, you know, just reward that in some way that you can, even if that is just by, as I said before, expressing gratitude. It's important. I think if you make the work environment fun and relaxed, you will nurture happy people around you. And you know, it's probably no secret that happy people deliver better in their service or their product. And, you know, if that's the case, then that'll deliver happy customers, and then your business will just thrive, because it's, you know, it's a lovely happy cycle, if you'll pardon the sort of, you know, expression. It's a bit twee. But I do believe happiness is infectious, and I also think it's magnetic. I think it draws people to you. And there's people I follow on LinkedIn, and I love seeing their videos because they're happy, and it's just, you just tune in for a bit of their magnetism or their fun every day. It just makes just that little bit of difference. And I think happiness does make you attractive. And I thought, you know, just play a little bit with you. This is a slide of me last year. Very lucky we went to Florida as a family, and we were in this auditorium waiting to go into this show. It's the Jimmy Fallon show. I don't know if anybody of you are familiar with Jimmy Fallon. He's an American talk show, and #panda is his mascot, which I knew nothing about this panda when I was in the queue, or we were in this waiting area. But I was standing behind this mascot, and I was like pulling faces, and he turned around and saw me doing it. So he started being funny with me. And I sat down, and he just sat down next to me, put his arm around me, and then my husband was just taking photographs of us. But this is like, for me, this was just I love this part of the whole holiday, because it's just me being me, sort of laughing out loud and just taking the mickey out of myself, as well as everybody else that was laughing at me. And I would just say that, you know, business doesn't have to be serious all the time, and I think life is the same. I think the one thing I would say as a takeaway is that I think we all take life too seriously, and I say that with all love to every one of you, because we've all got stuff going on, and I'm not trying to disrespect that. We've all had hardship in our life, me included. But I think that there are times where we are too serious. And I think those are the times where we need to just say, you know, I need to be enjoying life as much as anybody else, and I deserve to be happy. That's my tagline on my website. So I truly believe that. And if you don't believe me, why not trust the richest man in the world, who is currently, I think, 131 billion he's worth? Jeff Bezos. He says, work hard, have fun, and make history. And I think that's a good note to sort of end on, really, because, you know, if I can't convince you, then hopefully he can. And if you want to find out more about me, these are my links here. So I'm happycoach.co.uk. So hopefully that's come across, so that would be memorable for you. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn. Please connect with me. I'd welcome you all. With LinkedIn, if you just basically drop me a message to say where you found me, that would be great. And yeah, so I guess it's time for questions.
Great. Thank you, Amanda, for the 5 hacks which you have shared with us today. Amazing session, and I was like listening, and some laugh and some fun and some great insights. I loved your session, the way you took us through the various phases of our life, how we need to deal with everything. And yes, you shared your examples, and you shared the picture. Thank you for that. It's a great learning for all of us. Mm-hmm. And I thank you, everybody who have joined us, being here and listening to Amanda with great pleasure. I would invite all of you, for the questions you have, please raise your hand, or you may use the chat box to type in your questions. Now, before we go to audience, Amanda, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay, you hit a point which says detach from the outcome. Now, if I see myself, it's a bit difficult to do that, you know, like I'm doing something with the end goal in my mind. How do I detach myself? If you can throw some light on that.
So I think the reason that you maybe get stuck, or I don't know that I'm interpreting you correctly, but is I think we get het up on the how am I going to get there. And I think if you release that feeling of having to control all of those steps to get there, and just think that's what I want, and just keep your focus on what it is that you want, and how you will get there is not really that important. You will get there. It's releasing that control. It's surrendering to, you know, I don't know whether you believe in a higher power or, you know, a higher sort of you know, that's what I would say is it's going to happen. It's solidifying that belief is more important than getting, you know, het up on how am I going to do it. And I think the minute I always stumbled in my journey has been when I've started to think, I don't see a way forward. I don't see how I'm going to get there. And I don't know whether you notice, but when you've got a goal in mind, that's when your feelings of, oh my God, that's going to be amazing, comes in. Whereas when you're thinking about, but how am I going to do it? That's when the gnarly feeling of, oh, and the stress comes in. So try and harness that feeling of the goal and how you're going to feel when that happens. I'll share a quick story. You're probably all familiar with it, so sorry if you've heard it before, but Jim Carrey, you know the story of Jim Carrey and his story about how he, you know, got his first 10 million, or it wasn't his first $10 million, but he said that when he was driving up and down Mulholland Drive, when he wasn't a famous actor, he just used to lose himself in the feeling of how it would be when he was rich and famous. And he said he didn't know how, but it made him feel better to do that. And so he just kept going into that feeling of what it will feel like. So that would be what I would say is lose yourself in that rather than in the, but how am I going to do it? Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. So a bit of visualization.
Yes. Okay. But also feeling that feeling of how when you see what you want to see, how you're going to feel. Because I think the feeling is really the secret. You know, there's a beautiful little book called The Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. And that is all about the fact that how you feel about something, the emotion that you feel about something is your indicator of how it's going to be.
Okay, great. And I also remember the two books you mentioned while you were talking. The one is Mindset and another one was Creating Money.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So thank you for that. I'm sure
you're welcome.
That's a good read.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'll definitely go through that. One more question on fun. So yes, how do you see, for example, I'm a person who tries to be a perfectionist, which I am trying to get out of it. So to have more fun into my life, you know, with kids and with family, with friends, and take things more lightly, because otherwise it becomes very serious, as you said, you know.
Yeah.
How do you get more into that mode? You know, I think, is it practice or what exactly to do?
Well, the first thing I would say is, you know, high five, sister, because I'm a perfectionist as well. But I think there's perfectionism can be very damaging because it can actually cause you to procrastinate and not actually do what you need to do. So the one thing that I always tell myself is that it doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing. And if you think about, say, a relationship you might have, or you know, where you live, or that, you probably think something in your life you can think of that's pretty amazing, pretty special. And then you look at it and say, well, is it perfect? Probably not, but it's still amazing. And I think that's the way that I try and look at things now, is that flip it so that you don't put all your eggs into it's got to be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. You're striving for something that's not there. So, you know, and also I think what we forget when we're trying to strive for something, it's, you know, it's a cliche, but it's about the journey as well. It's about, you know, what we see on the way and the lesson that we learn on the way to trying to get, you know, I'm so like you, and I you know, my heart goes out to you because I know what perfectionism does to you, but it is about, you know, learning to sort of see how it can be amazing as much as it needs to be.
I think I'll hold on to it. Amazing. That's where that strikes me. Okay, so yes, I agree with you. Being at this stage, it sometimes creates procrastination because we wait for the moment. No, I need to have this. I need to do this. I need to have all these so that I can do that.
Yes.
Which then otherwise never happens.
Yes.
So yes, let's do it amazingly.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and I
very
think
great.
sometimes it's about centering and saying, listening to your intuition about when's the right time, because your ego or your doubts or your fear system can take over and say, no, just wait, it's not right, or whatever. But actually, if you just be quiet and listen, you'll know it's the right time.
Yes. I can go on and talk about all the points, the gratitude, the exercise, and the intentions. Everything you have mentioned is great insights, Amanda, and thank you for that. Let's take the questions from audience. Or Jason, if you have something to say, please.
I'll take 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, to ask Amanda just a simple question. How important, it's not part of the subject, but for a business person point of view, how important is reading for a business person? Is it so important?
Yes, I would say so. I've been an avid reader for the last sort of 20 years on self-development, and my bookshelf is probably the same as a lot of people who've got a lot of self-development books. It's full of books that I've read and books that are yet to read. It gets a bit addictive. So somebody will recommend a book, you think, I've got to have it. So I do try and read, and I listen on Audible as well. I listen to audiobooks so that I can get as much learning as possible. And there's so many insights, that I've learned through listening and reading, and it's just important to try and keep developing yourself and learning and growing. So yes, I'd say it's very important.
Great. And a final question to you. In the intentions part, you mentioned about being open to the possibilities. Can I reframe this as being open to all the possibilities?
Yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. I think it's so important to not limit yourself. I think we all do that. Again, it's a sort of a fear-based thing that we're not confident we're capable. But I think it's about letting go of that belief. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Amanda. Thanks a lot. We'll go now for the questions. There are a lot of questions coming up, Sushma.
Yes. Okay.
The first question.
Everyone has thanks to you, Amanda, for taking this amazing session and the wonderful insights during the weekend. Okay, so first question is from Subramaniam. He says, stress plays a big role in everything we do and manage. Please enlighten everyone on the importance of the same.
On the importance of stress, or on the importance of?
Yes, stress. I think how we manage stress.
Yeah, it's super important. But the one thing I would say, without being disrespectful to any of us here, and I'm including myself in this, is stress is self-perpetuated. We create it. And it's very easy to say, oh yeah, but you don't understand, I've got that going on and that going on and that going on. It's important to remember that we have control of how we react. And so when you feel yourself getting stressed, it's important to stop in the moment if you can and say, I have a choice now. I can react like that, or I can react like that. And it's very vital to have that, that practice that people always say about count to 10 when you're about to lose your temper. You can do exactly the same when it's stressful. It's just take a few deep breaths and it's almost, for a practice for me is just, right, it is sort of, I'm saying there's a fork in the road, I can choose which way am I going to go. And so the one way I manage stress in myself is to be very, very aware of what control I have. I can't control what's going on, but I can control on how I react to that. That's really important to me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Amanda.
You're welcome.
The second question is from TM Doha, Qatar. I think Kabir has raised the hand. You can go like
Yes, it is a wonderful session. I have one question. The question is that there are growth mindset and fixed mindset. Normally, earlier we were promoting for hard work, and presently most of the coaches, they were talking about smart work. So what is your opinion about that?
So you're talking about smart goals or working smartly rather than hard.
Yes, Amanda. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely countenance smart working as opposed to working hard. And it's one of the things I sort of preach, if you like, is that you don't have to work very, very hard to be successful. It is about smart working. It is about being strategic in the way you operate and the way you carry yourself during the day. So, for example, for me, when I started, I was working 7 till 7 every day, including Saturdays. You know, for us, the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, and so I was having one day off, and even that day off, I wasn't really off. You know, I couldn't switch off, and so I had to find a different way of working. So what I devised was to be more smart about it, was to set my boundaries and then be very focused during the time that I allowed myself to be at work and not to be distracted by things so easily. And it's definitely something I think we can all do. It's just about finding your own rhythm or your own way of working that works for you, so that it's not as stressful as it might be. And I think it's, for me, it was about boundaries, not just for myself, but for everyone else around me. So what I was finding was I was people pleasing. So anybody who wanted me, I was there for them. And I was trying to do everything for everybody. And it just doesn't work, because then you've never got time off. You're always on call. So yeah, it's about setting those boundaries and being very clear and resilient about them.
Yes, he's showing thumbs up. So yes, thank
Good.
you for answering that.
Mhm.
Okay, we have another question from Revati. She's asking, how do you manage pressure in life, and how do you separate it from professional life?
Okay, so I would say in the times when I was working under quite a lot of pressure, if something was going wrong in my personal life, which didn't happen very often, I was very lucky. But if it was to the point where that was happening as well, you almost have to segregate them. And I remember several times when things would go wrong in my business, and I had to then go to a customer's house. And it's almost like you have to just wave a face over and just pretend to be somebody else, because the stress that was going on, you couldn't take that into the house with, you know, when you were meeting a customer. So it's almost like you have to separate your business and personal life to the extent that they don't bleed into each other and they don't affect each other. And I think it's easier one way than the other. It's much easier to bleed your business life or your professional life into your personal life and take it home with you and rant at your partner about how your day's been rubbish and nothing's going right for you. I think it's important to try and keep those separate. But again, pressure is about our response. And so it's about taking it back to what's important and looking at your values in life. So if your pressure is because you're feeling that people aren't honouring your values, so, you know, they're taking advantage of you, for example, at work, you know, giving you more and more work to do because you're willing and able to do it, then it's about, again, resetting that and, you know, being very clear on what you want. And it also goes back to what I said about having fun, is, you know, if the dynamic between your work life and your business life is out of balance, then you'll know that, because you won't feel well, or you won't feel well. So it's about looking and seeing what's right, what's wrong, and trying to correct it. But I mentioned earlier about spiritual practices. I think meditation for me is the one way that I center myself, so that I feel that I can get things back into balance quickly for myself, rather than relying on anybody else to do it for me.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. I agree with you. Meditation is a practice that helps you in all the areas, I believe. So at least I try to meditate for 20 minutes a day. And if time permits, I do it for 10 to 15 minutes at night as well. But morning 20 minutes is definitely a yes. And I love that part. Yeah, it's I'm in different aura, a different feel.
Yes.
So it's really great.
Yes. Good.
So
Good. I'm glad
great.
to hear that.
And nobody can explain it to anyone unless you experience it yourself.
Yeah. I've just tried. Do you do any like metta meditation, like loving kindness?
Yes.
Theravada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do gratitude meditation. Sometimes, when I'm not able to sleep at night, I do sleep meditation.
Yes. Yeah. It's good
Yeah,
practice. Really is good. Yeah.
And when someone else is talking, like I'm part of 5 a.m. club and mastermind group. So sometimes there are the spiritual leaders who come and do the meditation, and the way they talk, as if I'm sitting on the beach and just going into that feel of, it's amazing. Yes.
It
Very
is.
good.
It is.
Okay, great. I Stephen raising hands. Stephen, would you like to ask anything or say anything? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes. First of all, yes, Miss Amanda. First of all, I would like to thank you very much. I have nothing to ask actually. I just want to thank you from my heart sincerely, Miss Amanda. Wonderful insights, and you are like you gave it so graciously and so gentle. You are so gentle. I liked your insights. So as a young person, when I see you, I felt like, oh wow, she's giving great insights to all of us. And I really like to thank Miss Sushma and Jason. Thank you for inviting Miss Amanda. And yeah, that's it. I'm really grateful to you, ma'am. You gave some beautiful points on gratitude, on having fun, like how to exactly balance your life professionally and personally, all these things. So I just wanted to say thank you. That's what it is.
Great,
Thank
great.
Thank you so much.
Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay. One thing I would like to ask Amanda, since you emphasized on one of the points at sleep.
Mhm.
So, what would you say? Like, some people have that thought in the mind that sleeping too much is not good. Like, say 8 to 9 hours of sleep is not good. For some 5-6 hours is good. What do you say on that point?
I think it's very individual, and I personally, I'm one of these people that I feel that people talk about the 5 a.m. club, and I'm starting to do a miracle morning, which means getting up at 6, which is early for me. Although I did it regularly when I was running my first business. I think it's important not to beat yourself up about what's right or wrong for you. I think there are optimum sleep times. So if you're finding yourself as an adult sleeping more than, say, 9 hours a day, then there probably is an indicator that there's something wrong. And, there may be sort of borderline mental health issues going on that's causing you to sleep extra. But I think if you can function well on 7 hours a night or 6 hours a night even, then great, good for you. But if you know that you need 8 hours a night sleep, don't beat yourself up if your friend's managing on 6, is what I would say to that.
Great, great. Thank you for that, Amanda. Yes. So yes, every individual has to analyze what fits good for them.
Yes, yeah.
Great.
The one thing I would like to share, just if that's possible,
yes, please.
There's another good book called The Chimp Paradox. And
Okay.
the one insight that I would like to share from that is that when you wake in the night, often if you're stressed, your thoughts will go to the things that you're worried about quickly. And the reason for that is, Professor Steve Peters, the author of The Chimp Paradox, says is that the limbic area of your brain, the fight-flight area of the brain, is the first to awaken. So that wakes up first, which is why it's the survival instinct in us as human beings. It's, the predator sort of awareness, that's why we wake up, that part of the brain wakes up first. And it takes a little while for the cognitive part of our brain to wake up. And so that's why we feel fearful to start with, if that's been the predominance of our thoughts before we've gone to sleep. So one practice I perfected was to tell my brain to go back to sleep, and I would think about it in the morning where things were clearer. How many times have you heard somebody say it'll look better in the morning? And it always does. And the reason is there's really a good biological reason for that, because we're more likely to panic at night when we first wake up. So go back to sleep. Tell yourself, I'm not listening, I'm going back to sleep.
Great, great. Yes, I think, yeah. In fact, last week, yes, 3 days back, I woke up around 2:30 in the middle of the night, and I was like, because I had some thought in my mind whether to do this or not, I couldn't sleep for long, I was just thinking about that. Should I be doing this or no? That's a course I'm thinking about. So I was just in that dilemma, and I had few questions in my mind. So I called up next day the person who is the right person to ask, and she just clarified my doubts, and I'm done. I'm doing that course. That's it. So yeah, that dilemma sometimes creates so much of anxiety, probably.
Yeah, but it was probably in your subconscious that might have woken you up to sort of, I need to really think about this logically. And so long as it doesn't cause you any distress, I don't see any problem in thinking about it at night. But when it is actually stressful, when you're feeling that flooded of fear and that dread that, most people can identify with, that's not when you should be engaging in the middle of the night. That you should try and go back to sleep if you can.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Amanda, for that clarification. Anyone would like to have any question or any feedback, any thanks? You're most welcome, or we would be closing the session soon. Jason?
I would like to thank Ms. Amanda for this wonderful session. Thank you for coming online. Thank you for spending your most precious time, free of course. I know coaches charges for this 1 hour, 1.5 hours of courses, but still thanks a lot for accepting our invite for a smaller group. And we wish you so much so that you can become a great speaker, a great author, and inspire us more and more, or million souls ahead. So thanks a lot ahead. Thanks a lot.
Yes. How was your experience, Amanda?
I loved it. I must admit, it's nice when you're on Zoom because you can see people's faces, and you particularly, Sushma, you were definitely beaming at me all the time. So it was quite nice to see your reaction. So, but yeah, it's been a pleasure and an honor, and the feedback has been lovely. So thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So have a lovely evening, everybody, and thank you for joining in. I would just like to share my screen for next week's speaker, so that we give a glimpse every time who will be our next week's speaker, so you all can join in for the amazing session next week as well. So we had today Amanda, and next week we have Ramamurthy. He's a consultant based in India. He's software development, project management. He handles project management, products development, implementation, customer support. He helps startups to build the business. He's a Master's of Engineering assigned. He has been a scientist and a lecturer as well. And I myself know him quite well. He has great full insights on so many different parts of our life. It's not only what we see here, but yes, in the spirituality, in the life, how we handle different things. So I'm sure the next week's session will also be an amazing session. So please stay tuned and join us. Share the link with your family and friends also. And that's it. Amanda, once again, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening.
Good day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.